Hello, welcome to Tiny Bedroom Interview number 3. Today I'm very excited about our guest. We have the wonderful, the lovely, the GOAT, Dan from NotaThing Events. Hello Dan, welcome.
Hello. This tiny microphone is very weird.
Dan,
Yeah.
thank you for coming to my house at 9 in the morning.
That's fine, that's alright.
Well,
am I allowed to swear, by the way? Cause I have begun
please,
to swear. Okay,
please
good.
swear. Please. How are you doing?
I'm alright. I was just moaning before that I have freshers flu. But I went to the Elcon freshers fair on the cellar stall, whatever. And
Hopefully your cup of tea and a sausage dog mug will cure
it
you.
will. I hadn't even noticed the sausage dog. Very nice.
So you're on the cellar counter.
Yes.
That is because you have a very cool new event going on there.
Oh yeah, that is partly that. A cool new event though at Cellar is called The Joint, and it's in the slot that was James Mannering's jazz joint. I think it's called jazz jam. So the best thing I could think of to do was to do a little promoter collective, but rather than getting in other promoters like experienced like promoters, I thought it'd be more interesting to get student promoters and newbie promoters, like people who haven't been around for very long.
Nice.
We actually have a space already, so if anyone wants to put a night on at Cellar, we have a space on because they're basically doing first, second, third, and fourth Tuesdays every month. So every month where there is a fifth Tuesday, we have a space, and it will be so for the next 6 months, and then after 6 months we'll look at if there's loads of other people want to do a regular one, then yeah, we'll just switch it around.
Well, there you go. If you'd like to promote at Cellar, give Dan a shout.
Are putting in 50 quid a week, which goes, so the deal is 50 quid goes in and that goes directly to the promoters, and they can use that to pay their own sound engineer as well.
Oh, okay.
But they basically get paid before anybody else, which is kind of quite nice. And that's it gives them a way to put it on without so much risk. And then the first 100 quid gets split equally between two bands. So then that's 20 people because it's £5 on the dot.
Yeah.
So if you bring 20 people, everybody gets 50 quid. Is basically the deal. Awesome. So it's already better than a lot of like gigs that people
absolutely
put on.
Yeah. And to be honest, I've never been at a gig at Cellar where it's not packed. Like,
no, exactly. Yeah,
it's a place to be, definitely in the centre.
It is, and it's a good room as well. You don't need like a million people to make it feel like buzzy. So yeah, and then after that first 100 quid, then it's split equally. So you can if you bring 40 quid, everybody gets like 80 quid and so on. So it was the only way I could think of to make it like fair, I guess.
And that's only one of your numerous events at your not full-time job.
Yeah, it's just my only hobby now because it's just pushed out everything like having friends. I think 5 most months. That's not including the kind of community events that I run that I don't publicise so much, but they're like amateur. But yeah. Do you want me to go through them? I can go through them.
You can go through them. Let's go. Let's list them.
Put yourself out there. Second Sundays at Cellar Bar, all jazz, soul, all that sort of stuff. 2 bands. So Dumb Luck, random Saturday night, once a month at Santiago. Well, I've got 2 gigs a month at Casa. Solos, which that's pretty much first Fridays, either last or first Fridays around that time. It's a really chill night. 1 Saturday a month for the rest of the year as well, also at Casa, is Boulder's Brass. Everything jazz, Afrobeat, like anything on the party side, Latin, dub, klezmer. If it comes down to it, anything we can get in through the door. And then there is Patches, which is monthly at Fox and Newt, just down the road. It's a night for everything I didn't have a spot for elsewhere. That is, once a month till the end of the year. The other place I do stuff is Hyde Park Book Club. I've just done a new music showcase, which was 7 bands. That was mental. Headline. Well, not headlining because I don't believe in headliners, but the band that was on last was a band called Klitspit.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was I believe it was their first gig, and their first gig was essentially full. Hyde Park Book Club full at close at the end of the night. It was insane. They played a 10-minute set, literally a 10-minute set, and they got a pit. In Jazz Beef, which versus matches between bands and performers and drummers. As of last time I talked about it, Heath versus Tanner.
The 2 Lemon Soul drummers.
Exactly, yeah. I really want to get versus drums. I want to get like 2 drum kits, one either side.
That would be
silly. 20 minutes.
You know what? I will come and volunteer to help get that on and off the stage to make that happen. Anyone that wants to help me, let me know, because that's happening. We need Heath and Tanner staring each other off with a clap stack.
Sean versus Sean on bass. We've got Songs in the Key of Life.
Yes.
Live end-to-end, track-by-track playthrough of that. That should be fun. Then I've been asked, I don't know if I'm supposed to say, I don't know if it's confirmed or anything, but I've been asked to do a thing for Leeds Jazz Festival. And it's partly because I was in bands, like I say, when I was like in the early 2000s. And there was nothing really, so it's nice to do similar stuff, and also because I'm obsessed with music and new things.
There's not many promoters in Leeds, or there's not many good promoters in Leeds. True.
No.
But like from what I've seen, you manage to you put on so many people, but equally you manage to put on such like fair, mixed, diverse, not just in genre, but in everything else, in age, in style, in, you know, you've represented queer artists like myself, you've represented big bands, little bands, people that have got 1 follower, people that have got 1,000 followers. Like, I think what most people from what I've spoke to like really appreciate about NotaThing is like, if someone approaches you, you will find a way to put them on. It doesn't matter if it's a year down the line, you will find a way to give them an audience.
The reality of diversity in a lot of this, of the diversity of the nights that I end up putting on is it comes from picking new young bands, because younger bands are more diverse. I think post lockdown, like I was locked away like everybody else, not doing any gigs or anything. And when I came back out, the makeup of society, not the makeup of society, but the visible makeup of society had altered. It had changed, and I was like, it was brilliant, because I love to see kind of people being who they want to be actually out in the world. What I'm selecting is people of a particular age, and I think there's a lot of this. The diversity is generational. I think that the diversity is just coming through. Is what it is.
Definitely, from my perspective, like being part of that generation as well. Before lockdown, like I also grew up in quite a small northwest conservative town, and I think over COVID, as much as it was a bane for a lot of people, the internet sort of brought a lot of people together and sort of introduced me to things that I was like, oh my god, like people are chill with this, like people are cool with this. And then I moved to uni like just as COVID was like sort of kind of moving on, but not really. And everyone was just like themselves, and I was like, oh my god, I can be gay. Like this is, you know, coming to gigs and music scenes and stuff in Leeds, and just seeing everyone just like being whoever the fuck they wanted to be. And then getting to know someone like yourself that just like helps like initiate that as well was just because I think we met in 2022 was the first time we worked together. And I've played with Lemon Soul with yourself a couple of times, and then I've also played as a solo artist, which is extremely different stuff. And just having that opportunity, but also getting to experience so many other people that I never thought that was a thing, and now I'm just like so open. When I was so closed off to myself, and I think coming into the music scene, like alongside that, coming to Leeds has just been so cool. Multiple people I've met like via your events and like are now like working with collaboratively, or just even in just like a friend setting. And
that's good.
I suppose moving on from that, my next question would be, I mean, you briefly touched on it before. You said you were in bands when you were younger, and there was nothing. And sort of like how, I mean, we've touched on it a little bit, but sort of how that scene has changed, and how you've come to like learn about sort of new stuff, I suppose, and just sort of like how that's been like, and how the music scene has changed, and the diversity and the openness of it all, I guess.
It's interesting. It is really interesting. So when I was in the like what was I saying, 2000s kind of moment, but like I wasn't in like a musical. I was friends with some people who were musical, and they asked if I wanted to play keyboard in a band, and I didn't play keyboard, but I really wanted to be in a band, so I learned to play like just enough to be in a ska band. No one could tell you what you could or couldn't put on. And the scene as it is now has kind of matured. There's more locked down venues. There's more venues where it's more difficult to get on. or you have to have some level of like either promoting experience, or you have to know the right person. There's quite a lot of cliquey shit still goes on, as I'm sure you're aware. But there's also the weird thing is all of those DIY venues, not all of them, but most of those DIY venues are still there and are still bookable, and people are not booking them. Santiago, for example. So Santiago is a great room. Sound system is the same. It's the same desk they have at Hyde Park Book Club. Less good speakers, but it's a fine thing. You can get the sound to sound good. Same desk that they have at Royal Park. Exactly the same setup. Has most weeks doesn't have anything on at all. It's £100 to hire that room, which is less than most other venues. You can fit 150 people maybe in that space, and it comes with a sound engineer. It comes with all the microphones and everything you might need. Bring your own backline, bring your own instruments, and it's not booked. And I've booked. I was able. It was so inconsistently like promoted that I was able to book any Saturday I wanted, pretty much into the future.
Wow.
There isn't a problem with venues. There are loads and loads of venues. The problem is in some ways with promoters, because if there were more amateur promoters, then there would be more gigs generally, and they would still be making enough money to make it have been a worthwhile night. It's not a band's problem, because, like I say, I've got 50 bands waiting to play like now, and that's just in that, just in that area of stuff. Can't get a gig, then you're gonna have to put a gig on. You know what I mean? You're gonna have to do it.
Would you sort of recommend young people to go into promoting?
Fuck yeah! Well, hang on, wait a minute. I was always about to go fuck yeah, but I'll just roll that fuck yeah back. There's a bit of privilege in that there's the only place right now that I know of where you can put, I'm sure this is not true, but the only place I know of that you can put a gig on for essentially no investment yourself as a promoter in anything is Cellar. It's the Giant, because we Cellar are paying for student promoters to come and do the work to do it. But that's why the smaller venues need to exist. Creating those promoter collectives and making venues as like plug and play as possible is a thing. That's what it's like. So should student promoters do it if you can afford it? Absolutely, if you can do it, because the more spaces you can create, there are labels who I will not labels, promoters who I will not name, but you don't have to go work with those.
I'll name them.
You can name them if you like. So most of the nights that I do, I started off doing Put Yourself Out There. Most of the nights that I am now doing have, apart from like the Hyde Park Book Club ones, well, actually no, some of the Hyde Park Book Club ones as well, they've all happened because of a need that I've become aware of whilst doing a particular night. So when I started doing the nights at Hyde Park Book Club and they were a bit more mixed like genre, then I was meeting other bands and they were like, I've got paid £5.50. I got paid £7 to do a gig, and I was like, what the fuck? And it's like, here's 70 quid. I'm really sorry. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's all I've made tonight is this, and they're like, this is more money than I've ever been paid. So the the new music showcase that I did the other night, like I say, I'm pretty open about how much I pay people, because I'm happy with the amount I'm able to pay people most of the time. We took £700, and because I'd paid for the room and we had 7 bands, I was able to split that £700 equally, and every band got £100. There was a couple of bands there, and somebody came up to me and said, that is the most I've ever been paid for a gig. And I'm like, fucking hell, really? That's rubbish. Put so much work in, putting on new bands was and hearing those guys was why I did the new music showcase, because that's allowed me to create 7 slots for bands, which I can do every 4 months. And that's why I also started doing the Fox and Newt gigs to open that up. Because of that, I put a shout out for solo artists, and I got 50 like solo artists saying yes, I'll play, and I'm like, why are you not playing? Where are you playing the rest of the time? So that's why I ended up doing solos for the same reason, because it was like that should be an easy night to put on. 6 bands, like solo artists, they have like 3 channels on the deck. Do you know what I mean? They got the back. There's no backline. And it's the same with Dumb Luck. It's like, I could totally put on a night of alt rock because there's nowhere for them to play, and now all of a sudden I've got like 40 bands, 50 bands waiting. So amazing. It's where the need is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to say I'm not rich. I don't live in a massive house. I've got 2 jobs. I've got 2 kids. The money that comes out, I have to find ways to the most effectively use that to do good things, and that's basically what I'm trying to do. So
How do you manage all of this and 2 businesses and a family life with great difficulty?
With quite a bit. Well, so my day job is I'm an analyst, so I'm a business analyst. So I've been a BA for like 25 years, going out just to Australia on and off for 6 months, meeting representatives from 19 universities and 2,500 schools. Super high responsibility in getting them all to agree, which I did. And I went away and I wrote up a spec, and I came back and got it signed up. So from a response, I'm used to managing high responsibility stuff. This is I'm still failing at doing it now. It's still really difficult. But the real answer to that is, because I am very organized, but the real answer is I have an incredibly supportive partner. So my partner Sophie is amazing, and she's very understanding. We have a painfully 50-50 relationship, by which I mean like an anally like split 50-50. Anally split, not a good one. That's not a good turn of phrase, is it?
Cut.
No, yeah, can we edit that bit? No, like basically everything we do is split 50-50. Okay. Bedtimes every other night, and if we don't do bedtimes one night, we owe one. And just everything we do, we try and make it as equal as possible. Kind of being able to be totally like honest, like, no, it's your turn, no, it's my turn, actually makes everything in your entire life much more easy to do. Our kids are amazing as well, and they're really up for stuff. I'm very lucky to have like kids there, so like understanding as well. After that, spreadsheets and Trello. I have a lot of spreadsheets. I have a lot of Trello. When I first started out, we used to cut things out of newspapers and glue them onto pieces of paper and photocopy them. So for flyers and posters.
Love it.
So
go back to making posters that way.
It's very freeing.
It's serial killer-esque, like cutting little letters out of.
In a good way, yeah. Serial killer in a good way, yeah.
Serial killer in a good way.
Yeah.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah, a lot of experience, and also, like I said, I failed uni. I did an English degree, failed it because of taking too many drugs and also doing 2 jobs. But then immediately went straight into work. So I was able to, I've worked my whole life, all the time. I never took a gap year. I never took any of that stuff. So I see it is privilege, but I have also worked for 25 years to get to the point where I'm at now. I've had several lives. So I don't feel too bad if I want to spend money on some random shit, you know what
Absolutely. I mean, I personally do. I'm sure a lot of people do as well. Just appreciate how like super transparent you are, like as a person, like about everything, like personal, professional.
Yeah, fuck yeah,
everything. I love it. And I was actually speaking to a few people that have like worked like with your events and go to Elcon and stuff, and saying, like Dan's gonna come on Tiny Bedroom, and they were all like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And we were sort of saying like, you do so much for our generation, and you do so much for like the music community, and a few people were sort of saying like, I know you have a lot of people that help out, and you're very appreciative of that, and also very transparent of that. But equally, this could be a chance for you to sort of call out, like if there's anything that you need from us, you want from us. Is there any volunteers that like you need? What are you looking for? Like so many people want to work with you and want to help, and would be honoured to do so.
Well, so yeah, I'll say what I've said to anybody who's said, oh, look, how do you get involved? Like, can you like teach me to be a promoter? It's like, I don't know how to be a promoter, so no, I can't. I'm making this shit up as I go along. I can tell you what I'm doing. I can show you what I'm doing. What I've said to people is, the start of, if you want to work on stuff, is just come to as many of those nights as you want, and just say, hi
guys, this is Editing Ash here. So the video cut out like 10 minutes before the end of the interview with Dan, and I didn't realise until we finished recording. So this is basically just me coming here to say that at the end of this interview, Dan was basically saying that if you want to work with him, come along to gigs, like come along to his gigs, say hey, say I'm this person, like I'm from Elcon, like I do this, I do that, I'm interested in this, and like if you come down early enough, you might be able to like help out on the door, or even just like chat to him throughout the gig, and then he's gonna know your name, and he's gonna like know what you can do for him, and he just really wants everyone to be a community. That was basically him just saying like, just say hey, like he is the friendliest guy in the world and the kindest and most accommodating person I've ever met, and and working with him on this tiny bedroom interview was genuinely an absolute honour. So yeah, I really hope you watched till here, and if you have any questions for me or Dan, let us know. And yeah, thank you for tuning into the tiny bedroom interview, and it takes me a long time to edit them. It was really hard to pick what parts of this to include to make it an accessible video, because me and Dan chatted shit for like an hour and a half. So cutting it down to 20 minutes was really hard. But yeah, sorry Dan that the video cut off, but we love you all, and see you on the next tiny bedroom.